Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another quarantine edition of the TheGroveCast. I'm here in my office on the corner of South 29 and M55 West, and I am pleased to be in the company of the Right Reverend, His Excellency, Pastor Andy Brubaker. Is your name Andrew?
It is, yes.
I should call you that instead of just Andy.
No, I only get called Andrew when I'm in trouble, so.
You're never in trouble with me, that's for sure. Sure. Pastor Andy Brubaker, Temple Hill Baptist Church. Again, he's been with us before. A dear friend of mine, appreciate him, colleague. How are you doing today, bro?
Doing real good, enjoying the sunshine.
Oh, man, as we speak today, the sun is beaming. There's not a cloud in the sky. So we're going to hurry and get this in the can so he can go out and go swimming.
Yeah, or rake leaves.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
We got some yard work to take care of, too, when I get home. Hey, so fill you all in at home. We did this earlier in the week, and I forgot my audio man, which was me, messed up. So now this dear, wonderful, patient brother is going back through this all over with me again. So I appreciate round two. Hopefully there won't be a round three.
Yeah, that's right. Someone your age working with technology, it happens.
It gets tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still get my buttons out of order when I button the shoe up. So this is hard, Well, obviously, not to beat a dead horse, it goes without saying we're in unprecedented times right now, and I can relate to what you're going through as a pastor with all the stuff for not being able to meet in public and everything. Take us back a couple weeks ago, and when this whole thing hit, what you guys were dealing with as a church. March 15th was kind of the first Sunday we were all kind of put on edge, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and that was a special Sunday for us. It was Pastor Jack's retirement service. We'd been planning for this quite a long time. Had food coming that was catered in. We had people from out of town, out of state, who were already flying in and on their way here. So at that time, it was just keep it under 250. So we opted to go ahead and proceed with that service and kind of waited out and see what happened. And glad we did. We had a great turnout, a great service to honor 17 faithful years ministry for Pastor Jack here, and over 40 years in ministry altogether. So glad we were able to still have that.
That's good. That Sunday's going to be pivotal looking back on it right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. And it really set us up nicely for what was to come and really kind of prepared us. We wanted to get some live streaming in place already because this was a special service. There were people who couldn't make it because of everything that was going on, flights canceled, stuff like that. So it was something we were working toward, but this forced us to maybe go that route a little sooner, and everything worked out great.
Well, necessity is the mother of invention, apparently. And guys, you and I have talked privately about how you guys were getting ready to go online. You had everything ready. You just had to kind of make that last push. So this kind of gets us all in a position of, okay, we've got to scramble to make things happen, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And in many ways, I feel like we're behind the ball compared to what other people in other churches are doing. But as we've already said, there's no manual for these times per se, and how to minister online. And so we're trying to figure that all out and figure out what's most effective and reach the most amount of people.
Absolutely. So contrary to what people believe or think, the pastor's not the king. He can't just order stuff to happen, So when this happens, you obviously have people you have to go through. Kind of take us back behind the curtain and what kind of process you had to go through to scramble, because not only are you dealing with this great, huge event to honor Pastor Jack, thank God that got to happen, but now you add all this other with the virus and impending things going on. There's a lot going on at that time for you. What did all that look like?
Yeah, so Monday when the stay-at-home order went out, quickly called the board, said, hey, can we have a quick meeting tonight and talk about how we proceed from here? Some of our Wednesday programming was fairly easy because we have a policy of schools canceled, we're canceled. So obviously, usually that's related to weather, but in this instance, we felt it was best to continue with that policy and really felt like we had no choice. We know churches are exempt, from that order. They could still potentially choose to meet, but we said, again, what would the loving thing be to do? How would that look like in the eyes of the community if we said, hey, we don't care what the government says, we're going to keep meeting and do our own thing? And we just felt like, for the sake of the community, but also for the sake of our own people and the health and well-being, that the loving thing to do would be to cancel.
Right. And that's a tough call because, like you said, most time it's the hardest thing for a pastor is usually to be closed because of snow. you know,
Yeah.
the weather's too bad or whatever. But you've got your people, and you probably have an elder board and obviously a church board and people to
Yes.
things through. How has this been, even in this situation now? How are you guys? You feel you're closer together making decisions? Is there a special unity?
Yeah, I think it's forced us to grow closer together and to communicate even more with each other. I was just sending them an email the other day and said, "Tell me if I'm talking too much." But again, there's it's unprecedented times, and so I want as much wisdom and input from my board as possible, and really appreciate their heart and what each one brings to that. And even some who maybe were initially opposed to canceling at first and thought maybe there was more hype than that because of what the media was promoting there. Just seeing how we've been able to bond together and to make decisions in a unified way in a good spirit. I think that's only going to continue to help us moving forward.
Do you sense? I mean, right now, of course, pastors. No one, if you've never been one, you don't know what all goes on. But it's not a Sunday, Wednesday, 2 days a week for a couple hours. Obviously, what's this taught you about even sharing some of your duties, time management, things like that?
Yeah, first it was pretty stressful, I think, as for a lot of people, it's not only do we have to figure out a plan in place and how do we function and carry on ministry, but also how do we just care and love on people during this time. And so, one of the things that we've done is we kind of have a deacon board that we set up care lists with. And so they would call and check. And so asking them to do that once a week with our people and delegate that responsibility, because for me to do that, that's quite a chore to contact, well over 250 people each week.
Right.
I really appreciate their heart and their willingness to jump in and do that. And even some of the other things that we've been trying to set up, online giving, other things in response to this, having good key people in the office and in place, really has just been a blessing and made this a lot easier than it could have been.
Well, it shows everybody's got a job to do and everybody has a talent to lend to this, and people step up when you need them the most, for sure. And I know you're experiencing that there as well. So what kind of things have you what kind of new things have you done, or what kind of things are happening at Temple Hill now because of this, trying to adapt to this new normal we've got for a while?
Yeah. Well, I feel like everything's new, and even,
Yeah.
prep as you're preparing that, it's, speaking to a camera is much different than speaking to people and doing that live. And so how do I do it in a way that engages people? Families are going to be watching together. So not just engages the adults, but engages the kids too. So really forcing myself to put a lot more time in my sermon prep and study, just even to make sure that I relate to everybody that I have to talk to. As far as other things we're doing, we did kind of a 21 days of prayer that we started about 2.5 weeks ago now, but just posting online daily. Here's something to pray for that usually relates to this pandemic that we're going through, and really encouraging people to seek the God of the universe on this, because He's the one who can take care of that. And a lot of times, maybe personally, that wasn't something I always encouraged people to do and was intentional about encouraging them to do. So it's forced me to be more proactive in some of those ways. Online giving, again, live streaming, even how do I do things throughout the week to feed people the word, but not to take away from their own quiet time as well too. So
right. It's a balance of how to be involved so they don't think that I don't care, but not want to move in with them either, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Hello, this is Pastor Andy. I'm here to stay for 12 hours. And they're like, well, 10 minutes will be fine.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what they tell me anyway.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I've been kind of concerned about this pandemic either, is that with being online, we can communicate with our people so much easier, but it also becomes easier for them to rely on us for everything. And I don't want them to rely on me for their spiritual growth. I want them to be able to take ownership of their faith and that relationship with Jesus too. And so, like I said, figuring out that balance of how do I continue to help feed them and guide them ultimately to the chief shepherd.
Absolutely, which gets us recentered to what we should be doing anyway. obviously,
Right.
but it just brings that to light, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So you're talking about your live stream. Take us through, you guys, the very first one you did, right, was that on March 15th with that celebration service you had.
Yeah. So that was again just the Saturday night, the night before, scrambling, trying to figure it out. One of the nice things is we had one of the guys who does the Rambler Review over at McBain, who attends our church, and so he's used to live streaming athletic events. So he was able to come in and get us set up, and the quality was a lot better than I expected it to be. And
Good.
it's one of the things in our discussions before. If we're going to do this, we want to do it right. This kind of forced us to just do it anyway, and to realize, hey, we can do this and put out a quality production without maybe spending as much money as we thought we would have had to. So
Yeah. Back in the old days, I can remember, I say old days, maybe not even more than maybe 8 years ago, which isn't all that long. Technology wise, it's an eternity. You had to seriously invest some big money into putting your service online, audio anyway, let alone video. Man, we're just in a whole new day and time right now. Like even doing a podcast like this, you can get a free Zoom account and not much to pay per month to have the ability to go as long as you want. It's a time right now, right, to be able to get the word online, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. But again, that's one of those ways that we can reach people that, we never would have been able to reach before. And I'm sure you see it on your sermon livecast too. Just the number of people watching is greater than the number of people who are there in physical attendance even. And so,
Yeah.
is to get the gospel out and reach more people is just exciting.
So take me through what you've been doing with yours. It's not always, you're not doing them directly live. You're able to record them ahead of time and then put them out at the appointed time. But you did something the other week, and you mentioned on our failed first cast with this one, what you did. Explain that.
Yeah, basically, I'm trying to, as I mentioned, find ways to engage people and keep them interacting. So the last one I did, I just changed settings a few times. So I started in the parking lot, moved to our youth room, moved to our kitchen, just all things that related to our sermon and what we were talking about there from John chapter 12, and trying to engage people. Even had a wardrobe change in there. That was because of a failed recording the first time. And so I had to go back and do it again. And my
Yeah.
wife, you should put on the same shirt. I'm like, nah, wardrobe change, it'll be all right. So
Just like an award show host, we change every 15 minutes, or something. But listen, the sensory thing, you can only keep people's attention for so long. We know that in the church. So I love that idea, even down to the wardrobe change. You're changing the scene, you're changing what they're looking at, and it keeps them engaged.
yeah, I'm trying to do it without making it look corny too. I mean, I'm still getting used to it, preaching to the camera and figuring out, what that's like, but trying to make it easier for people to engage and to want to tune in week after week. For now, they're being gracious, because it's new. This is what we have to do, but that goes on for 2 months, 3 months,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where we're going to have to probably get. I don't know, if this, God forbid, this goes on into summer. I can only make it look like it looks for so long. We're going to have to get even more creative, for sure. Leading into big days like, as we're recording this, Palm Sunday and Easter are ahead of us, and people have got a lot of great ideas. Now, it's been a couple days since our original shot at this. As the Lord inspired you, so I can steal it. Anything that for those days.
Yeah, not really. I mean, we kicked around ideas like a lot of churches are doing. We talked about maybe doing a drive-up church, where people stay in their cars. We rent the radio frequency, but we're not going to go ahead and do that. So we'll just. I have a couple ideas to try and make it a little more exciting, a little more engaging. So I asked a couple of our people who are normally involved to maybe record something that we can show on that day. I'm going to be preaching from John chapter 20 and going to be doing it from the perspective of Thomas. And so I may even dress up as a Bible character, and we've got a green screen that we can make it look like we're, back in those days too. So again, just trying something different to maybe engage and connect with people.
There you go. Hey, we're getting creative and drawing people in, and you have no idea. And the thing is, you don't know who you're reaching. You have your church folks in mind, but man, you don't know who it might touch. So that's phenomenal. As you're perched in front of your bookshelf there, I'm guessing again that that's not at your house.
Yeah, definitely at the church office.
I mean, a man of God, the scholar, you may have a room where you can go to have that in there, but that's always impressive because I'm a book nerd, so I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah.
What you're going to sermon preparation? What's your favorite commentary?
It really depends. I have different commentaries based on different things. So if I want really technical, I need to get more involved in word studies than that. I might go to John MacArthur. If I'm looking for really more practical, more illustrations or applications, I like Pastor Kent Hughes, Preaching the Word commentary series. There's a newer one, commentary set put out by Gospel Coalition, Christ-Centered Exposition series, and that one has just really been phenomenal. I really enjoyed that series as well.
What's the difference in studying for a sermon now in the climate we're in as opposed to our general time when everybody's there?
Right. I think now maybe there aren't a lot of differences, but I think now it's forcing us to get back to what we already knew, but maybe I didn't always practice and things like that. So being much more application even driven and making sure that we're pointing that out and showing how even the text that we're studying today relates in some way to what we're thinking, feeling, and going through throughout our week.
Absolutely. It is different if you're drawing, you're looking at, I saw some pictures of some churches that put like mannequins or cardboard cutout people in the,
Yeah.
just to have somebody to look at. Contrary to what they believe, we care about who's there and we draw from people being there, right? I mean, the word stands on its own, but that's obviously the way I look at it as well. But I mean, I enjoy seeing the people there, and you look out and they're not there. It's a little different this way, but still, I think it's helping us focus even more on the word that we're sharing that God's given us, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Because it always comes back to the word. And so taking away some of those other distractions can really help us focus and make sure we keep the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you feel like, and I've asked you this before, and I really feel like, because I mean, I know I do, in this time, we're upside down, even in the midst of everything being the way it is. And we're humans, we adapt, we're the church. We'll get to that point where God wants us to get. You feel like God's stirring something up fresh and exciting right now?
Yeah, I think he's doing that in a couple different ways. I think even just personally, I'm not a creative person. I like routine. I like having a set kind of schedule, even though there isn't one, being a pastor.
Yeah.
So being forced out of that. Yeah. Yeah. So being forced out of that routine has been good, and it's caused me to grow. And I believe God really moves us out of our comfort zone to help us grow. And so even in this time as a church, God is doing that. We're seeing people step up and really care for each other and invest in each other. As I call people, I'm hearing, oh, you're the fourth or fifth phone call I've got today, and people just checking in. And it's really exciting to hear that the body of Christ is really acting like that family and deepening their care for one another and making those connections that they didn't always make at church. Because we're here, we've got a million things on our mind, but now life has slowed down. And so we can take the time to invest and care for other people. So I'm excited about that too.
Absolutely. How you're taking what's happening here now and turning it for good. Like Joseph told his brother,
Yes.
you meant it for evil, God used it for good. The church can't go back to what she was before this happened because we've learned too many lessons. So, how do you take this now and learn how you've got everybody mobilized now? And you've got all these wonderful things going. Now we go back to normal again. We can go back to shaking hands and sneezing without worrying about where it goes and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, not at all.
No, yeah, not a bit. How do you think, what's the church going to look like when we go back to that again after what we've learned?
Yeah, I think there'll be a real sense of excitement to really connect and invest. And I'm hoping that continues. Like anything, after it's been normal for a while, right? We kind of fall into routine and we kind of lose the significance of it. But I think initially people are going to come back and they're going to see people and they're really going to invest in care and really just trying to continually encourage that. Like, hey, you guys were able to do it at this time. You don't have to go back and fill your schedules up. All right. Here's what you can do and still have those meaningful connections and invest in what's truly important, because I think out of all this, taking us away from people is helping us realize that, boy, life really is about relationships and about that connection with others.
A lot of folks have said, I should have been doing this all along anyway. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's taught us an awful lot. What do you think you yourself personally you've learned during this time, or still learning? I mean, we don't know how much time we have left, but as you sit right now.
Yeah, I think for me, being new to even just a lead pastor position, and being worried about all the decisions and everything, stopping here at this desk in a sense, I think it's really helped me to trust my leadership team even more that God has placed here. I can tend to fly solo a little bit and not delegate as much as I should, and just seeing how the body of Christ is really working together. That's an area that God's really stretched me and saying, you know what, you don't have to do that. There's this person over here. There's this person who can do that. And that's been good for me. And even just the routine of being able to slow down personally and say, hey, look at all the things you can still get done when you just take time and spend that time with God, and that extra time in prayer that times like this drive us to. This is truly what's most important. Some of these other things that we get caught up in aren't as important as we think they are sometimes.
They sure aren't, and I think we don't learn when we're going 100 miles an hour. Honestly, I don't anyway. I just it's all reacting, and so you speak very well. I agree with that 100%, and I think even back to your creativity. You know, even now you guys are using. I just saw where you've got your assistant pastor candidate. What a unique way of doing that, putting them out there, having them film at home and put it in there, and you got the video person you were talking about sticking it out there. The church is still going to move on, and everything's not on hold. And I commend you for that. I thought that was fantastic.
Thank you.
That was good. So at home life, you know, your wife, for those that don't know, your wife Kim is our second grade teacher at Heritage Christian School here in Cadillac, and has stepped in this year and done a phenomenal job. And kids just love her. When I go in there for chapel, it's in her classroom, and it's always a good environment. Now, mom and dad, both being in the sectors that they're in, shut down home more often. Your kids' response to that?
Yeah. I don't understand what's going on. Our oldest is 10. And so, I mean, they're excited about no school, but they don't really realize what's going on in the world and how serious this is. And so probably like a lot of parents, trying to figure out, how do I talk to my kids about this? How do I teach them at this time to really be caring about people that they may not even have met, but who are really suffering and hurting at this time, and trying to help them develop that love for people. So even in our prayer times, trying to make sure that we spend time praying for those specific things. So while they may not understand, they're at least saying, hey, for mom and dad, this is something significant, and they care about people, and hopefully they'll pick that up and learn that too.
Your kids so your oldest is 10, you have 3, right?
Yep. Yeah. The oldest 2 are girls, 10 and 8, and then the youngest is 6, boy.
So that's perfect timing, or perfect spacing, 2 years between. Good job.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah. That's my OCD for you there. So
even in the birth of his children, we got to make sure we have this all symmetrical, right in line.
Yeah, right? That's right.
That's a testament to your genius, for sure. They may not understand it, but they're going to look back on this time. Like I was talking to my brother the other day, the only thing I can come close to, the winter of '78, when there was a blizzard that hit the Northeast really bad. But I don't even think it shut things down. It didn't come close to this. So for all of us, your kids are going to look back on this time. For them, this is going to be our kids, all of our kids. It's a hallmark time for them to watch how we respond.
Right. Because this is going to be a big shift in our culture too. I think this is going to be a turning point, and I'm no prophet. I don't know what's going to come in the future, but it's going to look different than it did before this happened.
Well, and that's really where you wrap it around is, okay, this is not for naught. So how do we become better after all this? And then it's not just church. I mean, I'm talking to you as a pastor, but also as a fellow parent too. How do you lead your family through this time? And it's important. And we're still seeing there's more good than bad. I hate the sickness and death, but you're just dealing with what's been dealt to you, for sure. So where can they find you guys? Give us your times and all that you've got out there on your platforms for the church right now, live streams and all that.
Yeah, so two main areas you can find that. Facebook page, Temple Hill Baptist Church. You can find the sermons there on Sundays, or you can go to our website, thbc.org, and you can find links to that as well. There's daily Bible reading plans on there for you to look at as well. I'm going to be launching a series, online series here tomorrow, actually, on how to study your Bible. So taking about 10 minutes and doing a mini series over the next however long it takes me to get through it. But just trying to, again, equip people in this time.
I'll be on that one. That's fantastic. That practical stuff is food. That's good. Fantastic. And your online sermons come on Sundays at 9:30?
Yeah, they'll be up by 9:30 every Sunday. Usually on the website, they're put up the night before. So if you're an early riser Sunday morning and want to get up, you can go to the website and it'll already be uploaded there for you.
Look at you, a man of the people, making sure you got the convenience level right there for them. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm a people pleaser. One of my faults.
Hey, son, you're going to have to get over that here pretty soon because it's going to get think about that, though. Okay, you're into your second year now being senior pastor. What if this would have been last year, 2 months into it? Boom. Wouldn't that have been cool?
Yeah. Well, I tell Pastor Jack every time there's been a transition, something big has happened. So last year when I took over, Pastor Jack had major heart surgery. He had some complications with that. So almost the first 2 months of that, I was flying solo here, and then he gets ready to retire, and we got a pandemic that breaks out. So retire, but he took
just a little pandemic. I mean, that's all it is, right?
Yeah, piece of cake.
Oh man. Well, listen, you're going to be battle tested. You'll look back on these days for sure when you're about 50 years into it, like I am. Only you'll look a lot better, but you'll be well because you have a better base to start with than I did anyway. When you're not starting with this is where you end. You're doing a phenomenal job, though, man. I admire you. I love you. Hold you up in high regard. Not only are you a great man of God, you're a good friend. You're a great basketball mind, and you have the gifts that God's given you. You're right where God wants you to be, and I know your church family loves you and appreciates you.
Oh, thank you, and appreciate you and your ministry too, and being able to, follow you and other churches online at this time too, and to find more creative ways to be fed by men I know and trust and look up to. So I appreciate your ministry and all the extra things I know you're doing now. I don't know how you find time to get them all done, but I know you drink a lot of coffee, so I'm sure that helps.
I keep doing it as we're talking here. That's like the IV. Listen, God is good, and God gives us the ability, doesn't he, for sure?
Absolutely, yep.
Absolutely. Remember, everybody, and then listen, your gift for being on here, I keep telling everybody, we have brand new pins, TheGroveCast pins. Obviously, I can't get it to you here right now, but either our next 13th Street lunch, I'm going to give them to you, or I can mail it to you, whatever you want, or I can drive by your office window and yell and throw it out in my car. You pick the delivery system. I think lunch sounds better.
Yeah, it does. So I'll accept Clorox wipes at this time too. It doesn't have to be a pen.
I got those too, man. I got a can of that's all right down here, but
yeah,
getting lucky. Our last lunch, somebody paid for it. So, hey, we'll put it out on Facebook where we're going to be for lunch and when, and let God move on your hearts, right?
That's right. Yeah.
No, hey, thanks for being here today, buddy. I appreciate it very much. Everybody, Temple Hill Baptist Church, Pastor Andy, you're looking for a great Bible preaching church. That's it right there. So pray for them and support them. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you again for having me.